Okay, let's move on. Thank you for waiting. Next one. So we have covered service providers. Now we are going to cover service consumers. It's the opposite. Those who are consuming services. So if I'm an IT company and I'm providing a service to a bank, the bank becomes a consumer. So the word consumer is a very wide term. It's a generic role because we sometimes have terms like users, customers, client, sponsor, and so on. So the word consumer covers all of them: client, customer, user, sponsor. The word client is not used so much in ITIL, but we do use the word sponsor, customer, and user. You see, therefore we have customer, users, and sponsor. And we're going to understand clearly what do each one of these mean, and all the three are known as consumers. And sometimes you may have noticed that the customer is also the user, the customer is also the sponsor is also the user. So all kinds of combinations, tricky combinations come in. So we'll look at those things carefully. And for the exam, you have to know what are the three types of consumer roles: customer, sponsor, and user. It's easy, the three roles. Sponsor, I think most of us understand who is a sponsor. Person who authorizes budget for service consumptions. So whoever is paying the money to consume the service. So if you are the consumer, if I am providing services to you, to your organization, then you are the consumer, and whoever in your company is providing the budget, there could be one person, one department, they are the sponsor. Could be the finance department of your company, could be the marketing department of your company, could be a marketing manager or a director who is providing the money. Now, because I am the provider, there will be a sponsor from my side also. Yeah. To set up the service, to recruit people, yeah? to buy the technology and so on. So they can be sponsored on the provider side also, but we are concerned more with the sponsor on the consumer side as far as ITIL definition is concerned. So you have to be very clear about sponsor is from the consumer side. Now from the consumer side, there can also be user, anybody who is using the services. So if this person sponsor, let's say you are the sponsor and you're also using the service. I'm providing you a website service, and you as a sponsor want to use that website, you also become a user. So you have a dual role. Now look at customer. Role that defines the requirements for a service and takes responsibility for the outcomes of service consumption. This is most interesting, isn't it? So you are the sponsor, remember, you are also the user because you're using it. If you're not using the website, then you're not a user, you remain only the sponsor. But if you appoint another person who will talk to me and specify the requirements of the service, what kind of website you need, how should be the layout, do you want to sell products, do you want to sell tickets, you're going to tell all that to me, that person is known as a customer because they define the requirements. And they also take responsibilities for the outcomes of consumption. The word outcome is new, isn't it? Outputs, outcomes, benefits, value, cost, risk, these are some of the other terms. Now the website may be about selling tickets. So website is just an output, it's a product or it's a service. But what is the outcome? By selling the tickets or selling the products online, the company will make money. So the revenues will increase. So outcome could be increase of revenue. Outcome could be increasing the market base. Outcome could be getting more new customers. Not this customer. Sorry.
Reputation considered as outcome too, right, for the company?
Yes, yes. So outcome is like a change which has happened because of the service. Okay. Reputation, yes, very good. Sorry, reputation is correct also. Better reputation. Yeah? They have more presence in the market. So those are known as outcomes. And eventually companies measure outcomes. If they don't measure outcomes, they don't know how much money they have saved, how much profit they have made, how much revenue they have made. Yeah. So how many customers have increased, how many new customers, how many customers lost. They have to track all this. So the moment they track the outcomes with numbers, they are known as benefits, something which is measured. Of course, the word benefit is not used in ITIL. The word outcome is used. Yeah? But if you look at other courses like project management, then they use the word benefit also. Okay, then moving on. And eventually the basic word service has come up, which is a very common word, an easy word to know, but look at the definition, an important definition. It's a means or a method or a mechanism or a way of enabling value co-creation. If you remove the service, there is no value co-creation. So it's a means of enabling value co-creation by facilitating outcomes that customers want to achieve. So if there is no service, there is no value co-creation, therefore there is no outcome. And the second part is without the customer having to manage specific costs and risks. Think about traveling by Uber. Of course, nowadays we are not traveling much because of the lockdowns, unfortunately. But when I travel by Uber, I don't have to manage certain costs and certain risks, but I will be paying certain costs and also taking some risks. So it's a combination of some costs. As a passenger, I will own some costs, I will own some risks, but as a service provider, Uber will also own some costs and own some risks. And the purpose of a service is to allow the customer to transfer as many costs and risks to the provider. Because if I have to buy my own car, then what is the point of going to Uber? Then I might as well drive my own car. Yeah? Therefore, the service enables value co-creation, facilitate outcomes, but without having to manage specific costs and risk. We'll look at another better example and also make it a little more interactive here. But before that, I'd like to go to the term resource here. Resources, money, people, time, all that, technology, equipment, material, all that are known as resources. People are a key resource, of course, people. Yeah. Money is a key resource, materials, equipment are key resources, land, buildings, etc. Yeah. Resources. Even procedure can be a resource in ITIL. So look at this middle word, which is like a surprising thing, isn't it? Service provider cannot achieve outcomes for you, meaning for the customer, for the consumer. Because if you remember, it's a co-creation. So if I'm an IT service provider and you are my customer, we have to work together for the value co-creation. I cannot take complete responsibility for value creation for you. It's like that. So let me show you an example. I have another set of slides here. These are slides which I use just for showing you some examples. These are not the official slides from Trainings Direct. Yeah. So now that you have learned some of the basic terms, let's look at this good example here. There is an airline company, ABC Airways, on the right side. They've got their marketing and sales department, and they want to increase their passenger base. So they want to have a website. So they have, they're thinking about website services, and they've actually appointed XYZ Private Limited to create the website for them. Therefore, XYZ becomes a service provider, yeah, and this marketing and sales, ABC Airways, they are the service consumer. Maybe there is some person here, maybe the marketing director or whoever, who is the sponsor. But maybe there are all those agents, the travel agents and so on within this airline company who are the users. They're going to sell the tickets. They're going to package the tickets. They're going to put them on the website, put the pricing on them so that customers, meaning people like you and me, can buy tickets from this website. So the website services enables value co-creation. Remove the website service, there is no co-creation, there are no outcomes. Because what is the outcome? The airline company, they want to increase the sales. The outcome is more sales. But what is the output from the provider? It's a website only. Now tell me, do you think the XYZ company, the provider, is responsible for the sales? Obviously not. But if the website is not good, then the sales will decline. Therefore, XYZ should create a good website by understanding the requirements from the airline company. They should have a clarity on the requirements. The airline company should provide a clear requirements to them, and then the website will be built. And if the website is good, solid, if it works well, non-stop, doesn't fail, no incidents, then definitely sales will increase. But if the website is poor performing, there are a lot of incidents, the website crashes frequently, then people like you and me are not going to buy tickets from that airline or from that travel agent. So sales could decline. So you see, this is the full story here. Therefore, the cost and risk, if you remember the definition of services, the consumer passes on the cost and risk to the provider. Maybe they don't have to purchase all the hardware and software to create the website, but they will pay some money, of course, to the provider. They will provide some service charges or service fees based on a contract signed between them. But this airline company doesn't have to recruit the technical people at all. They will be the cost of recruiting those technical people, cost of defining the procedures, and all that will be owned by XYZ, the provider. Similarly, risk. The airline company doesn't want to manage the website failures. They know that the website could fail anytime, but they don't want to own that risk. They're passing the risk to the provider. The provider should ensure that the website is up and running properly. But do you think that the airways can pass on all the cost and risk? Definitely not. They have to pay some money to the provider for the services. They also have to take some risks here, because the tickets will not be created by the provider. The tickets will be packaged and priced by the airline company. So the marketing and sales departments are the people who will create the tickets, who will package the tickets, put the right pricing on them, make it competitive pricing, and sell it on the website. So that risk they must own. So you see, some of the costs are passed on, some of the cost is kept here, some of the risks are passed on, some of the risks are kept here. So this airline company has to recruit their own ticketing people and so on, their own designers, their own, sorry, not designers, their own offices. They have to build their own offices. Yeah? So they also have some cost. So provider does some activities which results in outputs. So you have to know this clearly. Activities result in output or a deliverable, physical deliverable or an electronic deliverable. And because of outputs, there is an outcome, something which changes, a result. Yeah, so let me go back to so we just took one example of a service. Look at the other examples. These are the various examples possible for services. We looked at the website development currently. There could be other services like application maintenance, cloud computing, data storage, data analytics, artificial intelligence-based chatbot service, incident management service, request handling service. I'm sure, if you're in the service desk, you will be doing these two, definitely. Data backup service, server installation service. We discussed value. Look at the various examples of value. Most people think about money, profit, revenue, cost savings. Sometimes it can be subjective. I feel more happy by using this service. Yeah, more happiness. Innovation. Oh, this is a very innovative product. I never seen such a app before in the market. Increase of the user base. We got new customers, new features. The product is excellent. It increases my speed of working. It reduces my errors. It's easy to use, user-friendly design. It's easier to install and deploy in operations. Faster to market. Less frustration to use that device or service. Future-proof. This product will run for the next 20 years without any problem. When IBM made mainframes in the 1960s, they're still running in large corporations. If you remove the mainframes, many of those corporations will have to close. Future-proof. Yeah, so in the same example, let's look at Cost transferred from consumer to provider. So the airline company has transferred the cost of IT infrastructure to the provider, cost of people managing the service, they don't own it. This is owned by the provider. Look at the risks transferred from consumer to provider, the risk of website going down. They're not bothered with that. They know that the provider will take care of that. Risk of not meeting regulatory needs of software application developed by the provider. There may be some regulatory requirements of the software application like data privacy and so on. The provider has to manage that. But look at the cost imposed by the provider on the consumer. Fees for delivering the services. Risks imposed by the provider, data theft risk. What if somebody steals data from the provider's database? Yeah. I'm just going to pause here in case you want to make any comments or points or any questions before we move on. We've got another maybe 15 minutes or so before we can conclude this section or chapter.
Just to confirm, the activity and output deliverable is done by the provider, right? Because the outcome is for the customers.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So the provider, if the provider is not delivering the output properly, then it will impact the outcome. But the provider is not fully responsible for the outcome, yeah, as we saw in that example.
Exactly.
And you know, it's a very important point because many times we as providers think that we are responsible for the outcome, and sometimes we are punished by the customer. The customer says, oh, you have messed up everything. We can tell them. It's about co-creation. So ITIL, of course, we have to be polite to the customer, but we can make them understand, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, if the website is good enough, but it wasn't used properly, so the outcome should be based on the user experience, right?
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's say, you know, the tickets are not well priced, they are too expensive, then users are not going to buy it. Then we cannot tell the service provider that your website was not good. It was the pricing
Exactly.
which was not okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the pricing is you're the one who set the pricing. It's not the provider. Provider only give you the service, so you need to use it in a better way.
And also, as you said before, there are other things like the consumers, the customers side people, they also have to do their job properly. Yeah, so all that.
Exactly.
So ITIL 4 is extremely interesting. I would also request you people to look at go to the Axelos website and take a look at things on the website. There are some good videos and articles and blogs also there available. So let me show you briefly. This is the Axelos website, axelos.com. And if you go to certifications, if you click on certifications, you will see the ITIL and other certifications here. And you can create a login here. You don't have to pay any money to to register yourself. You just have to give your name and password, email ID. And because if you register, then you will get some newsletters and free. You can download the sample papers and look at some videos and so on. But if you pay more money, if you become a member, there's a membership page also. My Axelos is the membership page. See, if you become a member, I am a member for ITIL as well as Prince2. It's an annual membership. Then you have access to more documents like templates and case studies and discounts for some other things. Yeah. So you see ITIL Foundation and the others are there. So they still have the ITIL V3 certifications going on still, but they've introduced all the new ones also, the ITIL 4, the 2 streams which I explained, the managing professional and the strategic leader. So you can take a look at all that. And they've got good, if you look at Content Hub, they've got excellent materials in the Content Hub. So that's why it's a good website. So you see this sample paper. So we're going to send you these official sample papers for ITIL. And but if you want to download any sample paper yourself, you have to create a login. You have to create an account. Don't have to pay money for that. Okay, then next topic, we have got product and service offerings. Every organization offers products and services. For example, a product could be Microsoft, for example, rolls out Office 365 or Microsoft Teams and so on, MS Project, and Oracle has their own financial systems and so on. These are some of the IT companies' products, and service offerings are also there. For example, there are services, yeah, like we looked at some of the examples like incident management service or a website development and maintenance service and so on. So similarly, Amazon has got so many services provided. Within the web services, they have several products. So these may be the different products within their AWS suite of services. And as a user, we really don't know what is below them. We don't know the technical architectures of these, but we are more concerned that I want to use these service for my own needs. So next important definition, service offering. An service offering is a description of one or more services designed to address the needs of a target consumer. It's just a description, consumer or a consumer group. There are three types of offerings: goods, access to resources, service actions. So please remember, offering is a description of one or more services, and it can be one of the three types: goods, access to resources, and service actions. Let's look at more into that. Once again, the definition is here. So it's like a menu card. You go to a restaurant, they give you a menu card. It's something similar. The provider has resources like people, technology, and so on, based on which they create products. And the products, it could be a database management product or a website. It could be a website itself, but they need to offer it in a packaged format. They may say website development and maintenance services, or a ready-made website. They just take the product and give it to the customer. Or they may say, we have a set of products and tell us what you want to do for you. They may say, yeah, please give us the product and also maintain the product, maintain the website. So there are three types, as I was telling you: goods, access, and actions. So, and therefore, eventually, these services deliver value to the stakeholders. The value is delivered not only to the consumer, but also to the provider and maybe other parties involved. Why would I sell services to somebody if I don't make a profit for myself also? No business will run if they don't want to make a profit, except for the non-profit organizations. And we're going to look at examples of these different types of offerings. Theoretically, let's look at the meanings of these offerings. Goods, access, service actions. Goods is I'm selling something to the consumer and they become the owner. So for example, I have a laptop, I want to sell a laptop to somebody else, they become the owner. Access to resources, ownership is not transferred, but access is granted under terms and conditions. For example, access to a folder, access to a database, access to a root file system. Service actions. It could be, I have a problem, please help me with the problem. Can you reset my password? Those are some of the examples of service actions. So it needs, particularly these two things need to be agreed. What are the responsibilities of the provider and the consumer? What are the responsibilities of the provider and the consumer? These need to be clarified. Because sometimes, you know, a service desk people receive calls and the service desk may say, sorry, sir, sorry, ma'am, you are not entitled for this. Can you obtain an approval? Or they may say, sorry, we don't support your department. So
like
we cannot
resetting
give
the password. For service action, resetting the password you cannot give unless his number is clarified in LDAP, let's say.
Yes, exactly. So there are
So
certain
it's a password,
responsibilities.
exactly.
Yeah, true. There are certain responsibilities, for to check whether the person is entitled and so on. Okay. So a little more clarity on the service offerings. Goods, laptop, which has accounting software and so on, because the laptop is given to that. So for employees, as an employee, when I get a laptop in my company, I don't own it. Yeah. But yeah, you can say because it's more internal. But if a dealer is selling laptops to somebody else, then they are selling the goods. Access, storing files on the provider's disk. I have a file, large file. I want to store it on your system. You are the provider. Or I want to lease your system for a year. I want to access to your cloud services. Those are known as access. Look at service actions, handling incidents, password resets, the example what you gave, root access to a system, request to change the configuration. Can you increase the memory on my system? Can you put some more storage on my system? So it's a good thing to understand. When somebody is calling up, we can think about, is it a goods situation or an access situation or a service action situation? No, I wouldn't say that this is important for the exam. As long as you know what is a service offering, a clear description of the service and the 3 types, it's good for the exam. But this chart introduces us to a new concept known as service relationship at the top. So there are resources like people, technology, and so on, and there are products, combination of, without the resources, product cannot be created. So to do end user computing, we need various software and hardware. And then we can offer that in the form of office workspaces. We need to, end user computing means offering a PC or a laptop and connectivity with antivirus and all that. Yeah. Sign on, single sign on and all that. So you've got all these examples here. And eventually, by offering, there is a relationship created. There's always a relationship between the provider and the consumer. So let's look at the concept of relationship. Quite a lot of text here. There are a couple of points which are important for the exam. But I want to ask you people a question. What is meant by a service relationship? Do you have any experience on service relationship? Of course you do, but anything which in your recent memory, like a good relationship established for the service.
Let's say you give a service to a user, then it was a good service. Then he gave you a survey. So he gave you a survey, a feedback, a good feedback, and whenever he has a problem, he comes to you because you are trustworthy.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, these things are the relationship activities. So there are 2 concepts here. Yeah, thank you. So there is service relationship. This is the first point. And secondly, this is service relationship management. So we have the provider and the consumer, and they have, so what is relationship? A relationship is just a cooperation. It's a cooperation between a provider and a consumer. So this is the key word, a cooperation. It includes service provisioning, service consumption, and service relationship management. So if there is a relationship between a provider and a consumer, the provider will provide the services, the consumer will consume the services, and there'll be some relationship management also between them. Therefore, what is relationship management? That is the next point. It is the joint activities between them, between the provider and the consumer. And why do they do joint activities? To ensure the continual value co-creation. Based on the available agreed service offerings, The offerings are important, and based on the offerings like goods, access to resources, or service actions, there'll be some activities between the provider and the consumer. For example, in that example was responding to a survey. So it's a joint activity, sending a survey and responding to a survey. So this is actually a service relationship management. The survey creates some kind of a joint activity or management between the provider and the consumer. And the cooperation itself is known as the relationship. So just to get a little more clarity on that with a picture, because it's important to distinguish between the relationship part and the management part. The cooperation itself is the relationship, consumer and provider, and the activities what they do together is the management. So if the activities are not done, if the management is not done for the relationship, then the cooperation will fail. So for example, performing stakeholder analysis, these are ITIL terminology actually at the advanced levels. So this provider has to understand the persona of the customer. What are their desires? What are their wishes? What are they expecting? You might have seen sometimes or experienced, customers don't tell everything. There may be a contract, there may be signatures on a page, but they will still say, oh, I'm not so happy. Yeah, the SLAs were green, everything was okay, but I'm still not happy. Does it happen? It does. Because we haven't analyzed the persona of the stakeholder. There are many other things. A human being is a very complex machine. So this has to be done. Similarly, there may be a specific approach. Should we do the job inside? Should we outsource it? This customer might be thinking, oh, I may have to outsource the job to a third-party provider. I should not do the job within my own IT department. Or there may be some training and awareness. The provider may train their employees. They may make them aware about new technologies, or the provider may request the customer also to train their employees. The provider may say, we are happy to train your people on the new technology so that we can work together in a better way. So these are some of the joint activities which can be performed, and they are known as management of the relationship. Because without that, the relationship itself or the cooperation itself will not work properly. Okay, I'm going to skip these points. It basically says we need more than one entity to form a relationship. I alone cannot have a relationship with myself. Yeah, that's what it means. And cooperation is important. Nowadays, the word collaboration is used also. And in a relationship, an entity can be a provider, or can be a consumer, or can be both also. It's not that it's only I can be a provider or a consumer. Let's look at how that happens. That an organization can be both consumer and a provider. So first of all, before that, let's look at the two things. What does the provider do? The provision. These are the activities performed by the provider organization to provide the services. It's like recruiting people, procuring hardware, doing the configuration of the systems, training the people. That's known as management of resources. Giving access. Users are calling up for access, give them access. Users are requesting actions like password reset or take a backup, we fulfill that. And manage the overall service levels, ensure that the service levels targets are met. Yeah, the incidents are handled properly, requests are handled properly as per agreed timelines, and improve on a proactive basis. And in some cases, supply the goods, package it, send it, ship it to the consumer.